what did you think of like the implication that like the connected bedrooms thing? That pissed a lot of people off back when it first came out, and then it got dropped immediately.
It's one of those things where it
And
became
it's and it's
such
and
an
it's and it's there and it's very like if you don't like pay attention to like the fact that because all the rooms are like in pairs of three,
right.
and if you don't pay very close attention to like what's actually like the missing black space in between the three rooms, you wouldn't catch it if you're not paying close attention. I don't feel like Marvel leaned into it as much as people think they did.
I it's not as bad reading it in context as I might have thought before.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
They barely bring it up, and I'll mention this later in the show. But by the time like Logan and Jean only like kiss once, and that's like in X Force, like 10 issues later.
yeah,
And by the time Dugan's run begins, they're basically like completely segmented. Like Logan's off doing his thing in X Force.
I I here's my thought on it. It was a very subtle thing, and it also was trying to eliminate
Love triangle
the
bullshit.
love triangle part
And as much as I love Morrison's X-Men run, that was the run that really like segmented that really leaned into that romance drama with Jean and Logan. Like Logan was obviously attracted to her, but he was, not gonna do anything about it. And then Morrison really leaned into it.
Yes, Morrison's probably was one of the most egregious about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was always subtle. I mean, I grew up watching the 90s show, right? And so I always knew that there was this unrequited love between Logan.
Like there's literally like that that meme of like Jean and Scott hugging each other and Wolverine's just standing off in the corner, just like
Yeah, exactly. And then you got like, and then, growing up with the Fox films, I mean, they played that element up a lot.
I think they also did it in the Wolverine and the X-Men cartoon where Steve Blum's just hamming it up like, "Hey, bitch,
dude,
want to ride my hand?"
I had not watched. I'd watched Wolverine and the X-Men a little bit when it came out on Nickelodeon.
That was like looking back.
It is a very
weird show.
Like
Wolverine's the main character. Cyclops is all edgy.
Yeah, Cyclops was a dick.
He was like an edge lord. That was when he was like the most fun though. In that show was when he was being an edgy asshole.
Yeah, it was. It just
it's the Nolan North problem is that Nolan North just delivered the lines really flat and edgy, but that worked to its benefit.
Well, and I think there was more. Look, Chris Yost, poor guy. In both the X-Men show and Earth's Mightiest Heroes, he didn't get a chance to do anything beyond the 2 seasons with Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but the 1 season with Wolverine and the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with his Fantastic Four show.
World's Mightiest Heroes or World's Greatest Heroes.
World's Greatest Heroes. So it's kind of one of those things where you kind of feel.
Was he the showrunner in that?
Mm-hmm, I thought so. I thought it was you.
I know he wrote scripts for the episode, or for the show, but I didn't know he was the showrunner.
Oh, he may not have been showrunner, right? He did write scripts for it. Maybe a different showrunner.
Real quick, speaking of Emma, even though we weren't talking about Emma at all, let's talk about Marauders for a bit. I like this. One of the things I like that Dugan kind of establishes, for whatever reason, there's kind of a disconnect between Hickman and Dugan, where Hickman kind of just assumes that like everything on Krakoa is hunky dory. Like they've got everything already set up. There's already the infrastructure in place to deal with all these refugees.
Yeah.
But Dugan really leans into the fact that Krakoa is both under-equipped and undersupplied. Like they don't have coffee. Kitty literally brings all of Logan's shopping requests on a boat, and Wolverine swims out to grab it.
Like it was like, finally, I got
my fucking alcohol. Even though if I recall correctly, they make booze on the island already. So I guess he just wants like that specific Canadian stuff.
I mean, as a fan of Canadian whiskey and Crown Royal,
okay.
I get it, but no, I mean that shit made me laugh. I kind of chuckled.
And Dugan leans a lot more into the humor. Hickman's outside of the scene at the dinner table, Hickman's a bit more serious with how he lays out his story, whereas Dugan's more willing to lean into the comedy, like
Yeah.
Iceman getting pantsed in Russia by the power dampener.
Yeah.
Wolverine.